Okay. After 2+ decades in the industry of diesel repair, there's a few things I've noticed. One of them has to do with negotiations as far as garnering a higher wage, getting better pay. I want you guys to be very forward thinking. We're talking about AI, we're talking about robotics. There's a lot of things that can't be replaced. And the reason for that, juice has to be worth the squeeze, right? So let's say that I was going to automate McDonald's. That makes sense because high turnover rate, just so many reasons. But let's think about this in other terms. A mechanical robot that could put a nut, a bolt, a washer behind and be able to manipulate and put it where it goes, right? Behind the transmission bell housing, wherever it need be, that you have to be able to articulate your hands. That is not an easy task to be able to recreate now. Robotics has made some huge gains. AI is now looking at also the pick, press, pull, screw, bend. There's like 5 movements right now that AI is mastering. So there's a lot of jobs that will not be available as far as manufacturing, especially assembly line type of blue collar work where a guy's using his trade, which is a trade is not just something you get paid for, right? A trade those are jobs. A trade is something that you have that you possess as a skill set, and a tradesman is nothing without his tools. So if you don't have tools, you're not a tradesman either. All right, and I'll argue that one all day because you can't do your trade without him. You got to borrow someone else's, and if he's not nice enough to let you, you just can't. So this whole channel is going to cover what you need to have, what you don't need to have. Guys, I've had so many yard sales selling off things I bought and thought I needed, and then went and picked up the right thing. So when I bring something on here like this headlamp, this wasn't planned, but this is the best headlamp ever. And I made a video years ago called $2,000 headlamp. There's no ad for this. You have to buy it full price, just like I did. I bought several of them. But this is the best headlamp because there's no fatigue on it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons. When we get into diagnostic processes, it's important that you know that there's a reason why I went with the Bluetooth 233A. Now I can sample circuits live voltage, and I can walk down the wiring sampling those without disturbing the harness. So when there's wiggle tests and things like that where you have to be able to look at the voltage on certain circuits, you want to make sure that it's not fluctuating. How do you do that unless you walk around with a laptop? That's not possible. So you can back probe the circuit and use this. This is great information. I've noticed there's some people commenting on things like talking about what are resistance values. I'm going to go from 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up, but I'm really just kind of trying to entice a bigger crowd to come here and kind of sample what it is that I'm trying to do. Yesterday I didn't show you this, but I think it's kind of cool that I did in fact build a starter circuit, and if you look here, I even built a glow plug circuit to be able to show you active draws. I know that was loud and annoying. Apologize. Point being, I'm going to be able to show you that amp draw here. I'm going to be able to show you fuse protection. We're going to be able to work from square one, which is the battery of source power, all the way up through this board, showing you how to back probe, but all this can't be done at once. So I'm really right now trying to, share, please, as much as you can. Really, I don't want a dime from anyone. If there's people who want, like Fluke wants to throw me some money to do an ad for their great, but I don't want money from the viewer. I want people in Zimbabwe. I want people in India, Africa. There's a lot of countries who watch this channel, believe it or not, and who subscribe. And I want you to know I'm there for you. But I realize that some of the things I've talked to some people in India aren't taught necessarily out of. They're all taught in books. They're just lecture. So I built this out so that we could walk through it now. I will tell you, it does get better as far as my video. I have something, maybe an Insta360 or something like that video, but for right now, I've mounted this in a way that I can kind of capture first person of this, a lot like Chris Fix did, and I think that will be helpful. So those are just a few thoughts I have for you guys. And that through wire pressure, like I said, don't put too much thought into trying to figure out what all that meant, because that needs to be a more thorough class. And really, these thorough classes are great, but what's to keep somebody from just copying whatever comes out of my mouth and selling it to somebody as a product, as a digital product? Just because I'm not charging you doesn't mean it doesn't have value. All right, people pay a lot of money for this information. I'm just giving it to you because this is useful. And like I said, I came from difficult circumstances. I'm going to get more into that at another times, but I feel for everybody who I'm an empathetic person, and I think that only so much can be said about skills, and a lot of this doesn't take. Everyone wants to act like they're the shit, right? Well, but in truth, it's really just a basis of information. So if I gave you AC clutch procedures for amp draws, and I told you here's a circuit, and I explained how to troubleshoot it, you don't have to be doing this for 15 years to do that. That's why yesterday we started with something as simple as that, because a lot of people get lost in the signal voltage side. What's going on over here side? Somebody talked about resistance. If I was checking for 12 volts to an accessory relay, I've even got it marked, I would be checking the amount of continuity from there to there, more just to see a path. I have a really cool tool that I'm going to show you, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too soon on that one, because there's a whole demonstration I can show you. It's the coolest tool I've seen. About everyone has their load cages and uses headlamps to test circuits and verify that the wiring is sufficient. I've got something that's cutting edge, that even the highest, well, that Peterbilt himself and other, I'm sure other brands are coaching their technicians on how to use specific diagnostic equipment. One of them is something I found and bought immediately, and now I'm no longer needing to load it with anything else except for this one specific tool, and I'm able to use it in a dynamic way to single out opens, shorts, and high resistance circuits. We'll get through that. That's an hour class, but after that you got that hour. See, so getting that hour in the School of Hard Knocks is almost impossible unless somebody sees it in you and puts you up the chain, and you do the prerequisite training and they put you up the chain, and finally you get to these classes. I was very driven because I have a lot of kids. Like I told you, I'm a group home kid, man. I'm very driven. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just driven. I've only been able to really rely on me and my little brother. Father-in-law helped me out a bit. I mean, there's people in my life who have come and helped me. I'm not trying to say I've done it all on my own, but in truth, the drive that I have, it's intrinsic. And so I'm trying to make it wear off, because if you see that the juice is worth the squeeze when you learn the technical stuff. Because here's the thing, forward thinking, as I come back full circle, the guys in the future are going to make money are mechanics who learn how to run a business, because AI will help you to automate every part of the business that you can't do yourself. So really all you need to know is your stuff. And that means you need to know it in theory. You need to know why something works the way it does. And I don't give any more credence to this than what time I spent doing it. But I did spend a lot of time invested in doing it. And if I was going to ask somebody to help me, I would rather ask that person who would spend a lot of time in researching how to do it correctly, not just somebody who would fell through, you know, let me just tell you something about comebacks. Just because they didn't come back to you doesn't mean you did the job well. Maybe they just don't want you to do the job poorly twice. All right, I'm out.